as to why this conversation was released in public, because yesterday it became very evident that Putin is coming to India. Doval is in Moscow. His bite was on record. So this conversation could have been done away with. You have served in the Indian government at various positions. You know diplomacy. Decode it, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I see my colleague from FICCI, former colleague, is also there. He's brilliant. He'll tell us a lot more about this, and always a privilege to be on your channel. The first thing I want to say, sir, that you mentioned these three words. First of all, this is a message addressed to the president and to all Russians. I would just like to say, Dobro pozdravlovat v India, Vladimir Putin, which translates into welcome to India, Vladimir Putin. You have talked about the strategic aspect. You've talked about special privilege. Look, we are looking at trade, we're looking at energy, we're looking at investment, we're looking at defense. So that takes care of the strategy, that takes care of the privilege, that takes care of the special relationship that we have. Has the Russians ever let us down? Have we ever let them down? No, never, never, never. Has the Americans let us down? Far too many for me to remember. Sir, it's my conviction, having served all across the world and in many post-Soviet countries and the United States, that this oil business is all rubbish, that we are buying oil from Russia and we should stop. Let's assume for a moment we stop. Next thing will be stop buying defense from Russia. We stop. Next will be de-recognize Russia, don't have diplomatic relations. All right, concede for the sake of argument, we break diplomat. Next, get out of BRICS. There's no limit to Donald Trump's arrogance and avarice, sir. India can't do this. This fellow grew up, and give me a moment, sir, let me complete what I'm saying. The target is India's agriculture. Donald Trump grew up in the late 60s. When I was growing up, sir, when I was an overgrown teenager, I don't know whether you were too young. Ask your parents, 66, 67, the rains failed. I'm 74 years young, and I remember we were told not to eat on Mondays to conserve grains. Sir, 80 Mondays in 1966, 67, I have slept hungry. The Americans gave us wheat. We imported 9 and 11 million tons. We paid for the ships that brought it. And the then president of the United States, look at the arrogance of these fellows. He would personally approve every shipment, and he would do it after there was a call from India, from Mrs. Gandhi. They had said, the Americans said the Indian leader had come begging for wheat, etc. People talk about living from hand to mouth, sir. We were living from ship to mouth. It's not an experience that I want to get. India exports agricultural products to 200 countries and territories today. That is the target for this joker, McDonald Trump. He wants to seize India's agriculture. He wants to make India again totally dependent on the United States, so India's markets can be seized by the United States. For him, nothing matters except the dollar. That's why he's called Dollar Trump. So with Vladimir Putin coming here, we are telling the world, not just Donald Trump, that look, these guys are our friends. India values friendship. India wants partnership, not domination. Do you understand that, Mr. McDonald Trump? If you don't, we'll explain it to you.
Comments, Mr. Chinoy, on this breaking news that has come in and the Prime Minister's tweet. I'll read it out again for the benefit of viewers. Had a very good and detailed conversation with my friend President Putin. I thanked him for sharing the latest development in Ukraine. We also reviewed the progress in a bilateral agenda and reaffirmed a commitment to further deepen the India-Russia special and privileged partnership. Special and privileged partnership. I look forward to hosting President Putin in India later this week. Now, this is something which he tweeted. Now, let me, sir, read out to you what was released. He said, while thanking President Putin for his detailed assessment, India reiterated consistent position for the peaceful resolution of the conflict. President Putin briefed Prime Minister Modi on the latest development concerning Ukraine. No meeting between Trump and Putin has taken place, supposed to take place in UAE, but this is part of the read that has been shared. The two leaders also reviewed progress in bilateral agenda, reaffirmed their commitment to further and deepen the special privileged partnership, so on and so forth. To you, sir.
Yeah, so I think Ambassador Vora, in his really great inimitable style, has actually explained the whole thing so beautifully. So very little to add there. But I think there are three things that I think are on top of the mind here. The first, of course, is the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict, right? And right from the beginning, a lot of global leaders and a lot of other people have said that India could play a significant role, and Prime Minister Modi could play a significant role in resolving this whole challenge. And as you know, there have been talks, the last one held in Istanbul between Russia and Ukraine. And hopefully, one of the strategic partnerships and points would be how to bring peace between Ukraine and Russia and to allow that. And that also, interestingly, the points that are stuck are something which will help Donald Trump because they're saying no NATO expansion, no arming, which Trump is actually for. He's totally doesn't want to contribute to NATO. He has a different view of NATO. He doesn't want to supply arms to Ukraine. So at one point of time, I think our interests are aligned with the U.S. The second one is perhaps there must have maybe been discussion on the impact of, let's say, not buying Russian oil at this point of time, and what's the strategic thing that we could do, etc., going forward. And also possibly, given what the defense minister had stated earlier today about looking at alternate sources of defense equipment, that could also be one of the strategic discussions that we have. But I think we need to continue to engage with President Putin, because if India can play a role in addressing the Russia-Ukraine issue, it will be a great great step forward and possibly position India differently in the global community.
Ambassador Vora, have we, before I get into the issue of why agriculture is so important to us, I have made detailed graphics to tell our audience that in India, agriculture is about family, property, lineage, vocation, poor people. But in America, it's about pure play business. The average farm size in India is 3 to 4 acres. In America, average farm size is 444 acres. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And that is why Mr. Shenoy is with me, to actually break it down. But sir, by Prime Minister publicly stating this, has he drawn the red line, sir? Has he drawn the Lakshman Rekha? Gently.
No, it's Lakshman Rekha, Ram Rekha, Raman Rekha, it's every kind of Rekha, sir. There's no question about it. Sir, when we went through that terrible period, trust me, sir, I know what it's like to sleep hungry, sir. 80 Mondays wasn't easy, Mr. Shenoy, to sleep hungry. Ask your parents. And I was 15 or 16 years then. It hurt like hell. We don't want to go through that again. And it's our farmers who have made us the second largest producer of rice and wheat in the world. We can't hurt them, sir. They are our andata in every way. And therefore, Prime Minister has made it very clear that whatever the threats might be to his position or whatever, I think he meant something else in terms of the threat, whatever they might do or say, he is not going to compromise on the agriculture sector. 200 countries buy our agricultural products. They buy marine products. They buy our wheat. They buy our rice. They buy even buffalo meat from India is exported. Let's be clear about this. It's a major sector. Look at the employment opportunities. And as you have just said rightly, sir, a piece of land for I'm a 50% a Pathan and 50% a Sikh. My mother was a Sikh. My father was a Pathan. Let me tell you, among the Sikhs, sir, the affection we have for the land, we go around killing each other on the basis of land. Land is so important for us, and for agriculture, therefore, land is required. Oh, no, we're not going to compromise on this at all. India survives because of its agriculture, and agriculture in India flourishes because India has become Bharat, sir. That's all that I can say.
Okay. Now, let us understand why India's actions are more than justified. To begin with, US does not have a trade balance problem in agriculture. The US has had a merchandise trade deficit for many decades. Trump has been citing this as a justification for trade war, but agriculture is one area where he should not be complaining. The US has mostly had a merchandise trade surplus in agricultural trade. Agriculture should not be the deal breaker in trade negotiations with India. That's the fact of the matter. That's number one. The US is demanding market access for its agricultural goods isn't a demand for raising farm incomes. That's the second part. It is a demand to increase the earning of its larger agri-industrial complex. The American agriculture, especially food economy, is less about farmers and more about other different businesses. Data published by USDA shows farm production had a share of only 7.9% in the average food dollar. Food processing alone had a share of 14.4%. And then the average size And then the average size of farm in India is less than 3 acres. And in America, it's 444 acres. Even within US farms, larger ones account for most of the production. Clearly, there is no match between US agribusiness and farmers and the one in India.